Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with a new what if, and this what if is what if Naruto could copy any Kekkei Genkai. So I want you guys to do something for me real quick. Naruto is gonna have a brother in this series, and I'm terrible with names and I don't want to go with Menma, it's overused. So comment down below a name you would give to him. For now I'll just use Menma. And also, this what if is a suggestion from someone on the Discord server, so hop on there, leave a what if request if you want to as well. Links in the description, and yeah, let's get right into the what if. Naruto was running in the rain, trying to escape it, but he tripped, falling headfirst into a muddy puddle, messing up his only clothes. But Naruto knew he had to keep moving. He heard footsteps coming his way. So Naruto tried running but couldn't find the strength to, and just laid there as the footsteps got closer and closer. Naruto looked behind him and saw a leaf shinobi with silver hair and a red eye. Naruto hasn't seen any eye color like this before and just kept staring at it, and his own eyes began to burn, turning the same crimson red. The man was surprised to see the boy had the same eyes as he do, but it eventually faded and Naruto passed out. So the man lifted Naruto out of the mud and started carrying him on his back to his house. The next morning, Naruto woke up in a random person's bedroom, and he got up holding his head because he felt sick, and he remembered all the events of last night and that man and how his eyes began to hurt for no reason. So Naruto got up and went out to the living area of the house, and the man from last night was in the kitchen, whipping up some food. So Naruto hid behind the counter just watching him. And this man just finished cooking, and he turned around and immediately sees Naruto, like he isn't fooling anyone. But he pretends he doesn't and shares out food, and then walks up to him and said, I can see you, right? And Naruto was shocked, like, how my perfect hiding spot found out so easily. Who is this guy? So Naruto asked, who are you? And the man says his name is Kakashi Hatake, and says he made some food, so he should probably go eat. Kakashi begins walking over to the dining table, and Naruto follows because he is extremely hungry. So they eat together, and let's say it's ramen. This is where Naruto's addiction starts. And Kakashi asked Naruto, why was he out by himself, and even how old was he? So Naruto explains he's only 10 years old and he was running away from home. His brother Menma was basically abusing him, like being a bully, but even worse. Always bossing Naruto around even though they're the same age, and Menma was really strong. See, he had the yin half of the nine tails, so it helps Menma, gives him strength whenever he needs it. And since their parents are dead, no one's there to stop him. Even worse, Hiruzen started training Menma, so Naruto, he couldn't take it anymore, so he ran away. And Naruto thinks he'll never be as strong as his brother, but Kakashi has some other ideas. He takes Naruto outside to his private training area behind the house and asks Naruto, do you want to be strong? And Naruto says, it doesn't even make a difference. I won't be stronger than Menma. And Kakashi just shakes his head and thinks, how could his master's sons be filled with such, hatred for one another? And Kakashi remembers back to that night when he saw Naruto had the Sharingan for a second, and he wanted to test it. So he calls Naruto over to him and not activates his Sharingan, but lifts up his headband to revealing his Sharingan. And Naruto looked in his eyes and his own eyes began burning. And Naruto was screaming his lungs out in pain, and Kakashi was telling him to try and endure it, but the pain just wouldn't subside. It felt like torture, like his eyes were being gouged out. But to Naruto's surprise, after a minute the pain went away. and his vision started to unblur. His 3 Tomoe Sharingan was awakened. And yes, when Naruto copies a Kekkei Genkai, he gets the stage that the person he copied it from is already at. So no starting at 1 Tomoe. So Kakashi was amazed at this ability. It seemed to allow him to copy Kekkei Genkai. And Kakashi decided to test out Naruto's abilities. He did a simple substitution jutsu, and subconsciously Naruto copied it perfectly, turning him into a log and appearing like in a tree nearby. Naruto himself was confused, like how did he even do that? And also realized that things seemed to be moving slower for him. But then Naruto felt a sharp pain in his eyes, and the Sharingan slowly faded away and Naruto collapsed to the ground. Kakashi, being worried for Naruto's safety, he rushes over but just realizes he was just exhausted. So he brings Naruto inside and he rests for the day, and Kakashi prepares something for when he eventually wakes up. So Naruto stays with Kakashi, never going out into the village for 3 years. The people of the village, hearing of Naruto's disappearance, they couldn't be happier, and Menma was being praised even more because Danzo, instead of spreading the rumor that, oh, Naruto this that, he said like Naruto's half of the 9 tails was the evil half and Menma's half was the good half, the half that fought itself to protect the village from any serious damage. And of course, this is all BS, but people ate it up and spread it far and wide. Even people who knew it wasn't real began to believe, like Hiruzen. He was actually happy to hear that Naruto was missing because he always got in the way of Menma's training. So what Naruto has been up to through these years? Training. The first time he activated his Sharingan, he felt power of what he could have and achieve, and it became an obsession, kind of training any chance he could with and without the Sharingan. And the first few times Naruto activated it, he couldn't use it for long because he wasn't using it optimally. Like, he was wasting all of his chakra, so it didn't last any time. So Naruto worked on that as well, and it's time for him to finally return to the academy for the graduation exams. So Naruto walks out to the streets for the first time in years, and he still has his crazy blonde hair, but gone are his jumpsuit and his whole entire color scheme. Naruto took up after his master and wore a similar type of clothing and but like the same color scheme as Kakashi. He wore dark blue pants and a black shirt and a dark blue jacket, but it wasn't zipped all the way up like his normal jacket in canon. And he had a short sword on his back, the one Kakashi used when he was in the Anbu, like his earlier years in the Anbu. So Naruto was walking to the academy and most of the people didn't recognize him, but his blonde hair stuck out like a sore thumb. People, seeing him walk past began to get angry, and they threw bottles, papers, just anything they had on them. But Naruto kept walking, actually dodging everything being thrown at him, and he finally makes it to the academy. His class was being loud as usual, but as Naruto walks in, it goes completely silent. Then someone in the back spoke up. He said, "How are you alive? I thought I took care of you." Now, most of the people in the class were staring at Menma because he told them he killed Naruto, and people admired him for that fact. But obviously not. Naruto walked past Menma to his seat next to the window, being a usual anime protagonist, and Menma runs up to him and slams his hands on the desk. He says, "Hey, I'm talking to you. How are you even alive?" But Naruto keeps ignoring him. Menma actually got a evil grin on his face. He said, "Oh, it looks like you forgot what beating felt like you need one." And Menma pulls his hand back, ready to punch Naruto, but Naruto just grabs his hands and flips him over his shoulder, using the same force he was about to hit him with. And at the same time, Iruka walks in and sees, what just happened. He rushes up to the two and realizes the kid in the blonde hair, he realized who he was, and it was Naruto. He said this under his breath, and Iruka just lit up in happiness actually. He hugs Naruto and says, oh my god, I knew you weren't dead. I just knew it. And Naruto just awkwardly had his hands to his side, but he was happy someone actually cared. But Iruka eventually let him go and Menma stood up. He sees Iruka and starts playing injured, like he's limping, holding his arm like it was broken. And he said, Iruka, Naruto beat me up. But, that doesn't work. Iruka obviously doesn't buy it and tells him to just go to his seat. Then Mizuki enters the classroom with the test papers. He starts handing them out and he's walking around and he sees Naruto. Seeing him, he just gets angry, but he knows he can't, attack the fox brat. Like, how is he not dead? So he continues handing out the papers and he gives Naruto his paper because he feels like he won't be able to pass. Naruto has been missing for how long, missing all knowledge and things like that, so he would not be able to pass, or so he thinks. Kakashi had not only been training Naruto physically but mentally, teaching him what he would need to know to join the academy, or do well in the academy. So everyone's finished their tests, like 30 minutes, and they hand it in. And, they go off to grade it, so they do the physical portion next, or practical portion next. First is shuriken throwing. Menma goes first, and he takes the kunai and effortlessly throws them at the targets, getting all 10, like bullseye. Then Sasuke goes after him. He does the same thing, but only misses 1, so he gets 9 out of 10. So it's Naruto's turn. He goes to Mizuki to get his kunai, but they're all blunts, and so they won't easily stick to the target. But it doesn't really bother Naruto. He activates his Sharingan for a second and throws the kunai, using the Sharingan to boost himself, his speed, strength, things like that, and to easily target the targets. Yeah, so he can easily get a bullseye on the targets. So yeah, he throws them and they goes right through the targets and stick into the tree behind them. And everyone was actually amazed at how strong Naruto was. Some people were thinking, was he always this strong? What happened? But Sasuke was the most suspicious. He swore he saw the Sharingan or just something red around Naruto's eyes, but when he blinked, it was gone. Maybe he was just seeing things. So next, the 1v1s. Some randos go, some background characters, yada yada. Doesn't really make sense to go through their fight. So the important fight, Naruto versus Menma. And this fight had quite the audience. Word got out around that Naruto had returned, and this spread to the Hokage, who along with a bunch of civilians were all present to watch the match. And as the match begins, Hiruzen shouted, "Go Menma! Show him what you're made of!" And the Nine-Tails chakra began influencing Menma, mixing with his own, but no tail formed. So he rushes Naruto, trying to rip him apart with his claws, but Naruto pulled his sword and blocked the attack. Naruto activates his Sharingan and stares into Menma's eyes, putting him under a genjutsu. And also puts everyone under a genjutsu as well to conceal his eyes so no one sees. So Menma's genjutsu, it wasn't anything too serious, but this left his body vulnerable. While he's down, Naruto starts to take advantage. Naruto starts swinging on Menma while he's down, punching him in the face, just completely wrecking this man. And Menma, he was taken out of the genjutsu with the help of the Nine-Tails, but by that time he was already seriously injured. But the Nine-Tails, its chakra, healed his injuries. So Menma, now in rage, kicks Naruto off of him, and now with the intent to kill, starts swinging wildly, leaving himself wide open to many counters. So Menma goes for a swing to Naruto's throat with his claws, but Naruto blocks him with his own hand and does a one-handed sign for a fireball jutsu, hitting Menma at point blank range, completely scorching his body, and Menma falls over. Iruka immediately calls the fight because he just thinks Menma just died. And all the cheers for Menma were just silence and turned into boos. People got mad. They thought Naruto just permanently scarred their beloved Menma, and he was rushed to the hospital. So Naruto deactivates his Sharingan and goes back to the students. Hiruzen watching this was shocked but even more so mad. All the work he put into Menma to train him, all for his weak nobody brother to come beat him up? He can't accept that. So Hiruzen body flickers back to the office to contemplate how to deal with Naruto. So back to the academy, Naruto and his whole class goes back into the classroom and they await for their test results. Iruka comes in with a stack of papers and he goes through them. He says he's gonna start from the highest to the lowest. So he takes up the first paper and he sees the name and he says, oh, the person with the highest score is Naruto Uzumaki. And people were confused. People like Sakura, she was mad also. Like, she had been the top of the class for like years, almost ever since she'd been there. And to be like done up by this nobody, yeah, she was pretty ticked off. So she came second, third, like Ino or Hinata or some people like that. It doesn't really matter. So everyone gets their papers and yeah, Iruka tells them to come in tomorrow to know who will be their Jonin sensei. And everyone leaves for the day. And that is where I'm going to be leaving this first part off. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video. And before I end it, I'm going to be putting up a poll, to choose the members of Team 7. So you guys can choose who is going to be either like Naruto, Menma, Sakura, or, I'll just put up the options you guys choose. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next. Oh, wait, don't forget, if you liked it, if you like my content in general, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.